So, hello again. For everyone that was not around this morning, my name is Vogel. I'm software developer at the Hello Welt company, and we develop the Blue Spice MediaWiki distribution. And in this context, we also develop new features. So, for our customers, basically, we provide services and the MediaWiki software to customers in the business environment. And today I want to talk about our latest efforts to connect MediaWiki to chat services. And as the subtitle says, this is about chats with and without AI. So not every chat nowadays has to be an AI chat, an AI chatbot. But yeah, we will now see how we set this up and what our plans into that direction are. So, first of all, this is a quick agenda. You see, it's not very long. We will quickly talk about which chat softwares we actually target and why, and what the challenges or not have been there. And then we have two main use cases which I want to show you. One is notifications commands. That is basically the part without the AI. And then obviously an AI chatbot, which is also frequently requested by people. For the later two items, I will also give an overview of a setup that we have, and yeah. Okay, so first of all, why do we even do chat integrations? Well, as I said, we're introducing MediaWiki software in business context and into companies, and most companies and other organizations have some sort of instant messaging tool. In the business world, these are the most important ones are Microsoft Teams nowadays and Slack. We also have Rocket Chat in this list because it's an open source tool, and it's also quite popular. And that is the lineup that we wanted to start our integration with. Basically to cover the big ones, the ones that are really important for business users, but also to support an open source alternative. From a technical point of view, we decided for a framework to connect wiki to those chat services. This framework is called HuBot. So basically an open source framework for exactly this case. And it provides an easy API for connecting to various services. So basically integrating into Rocket Chat was not much of a problem at all. The same goes for Slack. This was slightly more difficult because it requires a little bit more setup on the side of Slack. But then we encountered Teams, and Teams was rather, well, I wouldn't say difficult. It is just jumping to a lot of loops, right? In the end, by the way, we did it, so it does work. It does work properly, but it's not what I would say. It's not a very pleasant developer or administrator experience to do that. So I have a dedicated slide for that. Unlike the other chat services that I've mentioned, Microsoft Teams does not provide a direct API to connect with. So, but you rather need to use the Azure world to send messages and receive messages from Microsoft Teams. And this even splits up into multiple things in the Microsoft world. This is one is the Azure Bot Services, which is basically you need to have an Azure subscription to do that. You need to create that. You need to create an application. You need to create the Azure Bot Service. You need to use the Microsoft Bots framework, which is a software package to communicate with that. And everything is always running through the cloud. So, for example, while the Microsoft the Slack and the Rocket Chat communications are an actual communication between the wiki or the wiki service and the chat server. With Microsoft, you always go through their cloud. There's no way around that. In addition, to even make the you need to bring a chatbot into any of those systems. You need to perform a couple of things on the respective system. For RocketChat, this is rather simple. For Slack, also, you need to register a bot, I believe, in the application. For Microsoft Teams, you need to, again, do a little bit more. You need to create an actual Microsoft Teams app for that. And it's rather complicated to do that. You need to have a lot of IDs, for example. You need to have a tenant ID, you need to have an app ID, you need to have a bot ID and stuff like that. So you need to register a lot of things. Also permissions. It's not. You need to be very specific about the permissions that that particular bot has and needs to properly communicate. This is all okay. I mean, from a point of view, if you look from a security perspective, that's quite good. But it adds a lot of work to this topic. So, but in the end, we also managed to bring this into MS Teams. Now to the first use case, that is notifications and commands, how we call it, the part without the AI. So yeah, as it reads, one idea was to, as many people have their chat running anyways all the time. They are always in some chat room, have the application open, and basically listening for colleagues, for other people to contact them. One idea was to also integrate notifications from the wiki. So the MediaWiki software itself does have two different kinds of notifications. One is an email notification, which basically means the wiki will send you an email if something happens that you have subscribed to. For example, a change on a watch list page, or it can also send a web notification directly inside of the application. And in addition to those two channels, we decided to create a third channel. That's the chat channel, where people can then be notified right through their instant messaging tool. As you can see, there's quite a long list of requirements, because we had to split things up, and we were reusing things that we already had. Let's start with the chat integration here. Chat integration is a new extension that we've developed that basically does the main communication between the wiki and the so-called web service chat. That's the one down here. That's a service that runs in the background and which is actually connected to the chat clients. In addition to that, the chat integration extension also has some minor features, like being able to easily link to a chat room from a wiki page. You can add stuff into the wiki page, like small icons that then link into a chat room, for example, which can come in pretty handy. Or you can share a page from the wiki using the share mechanism of MS Teams, for example. In addition to this, we have the Notify Me extension. Actually, this is a little bit special, because it is not the classic notification extension that MediaWiki usually ships. Usually, MediaWiki does have the Echo extension, but the Echo extension, in BlueSpice, we have replaced the Echo extension some time ago due to the lack of customizability, basically. And we have replaced this with Notify Me, which is more or less the same. It has some additional features, some changes in the management of subscriptions, and it has the capability to easily register multiple channels. One of the channels is, for example, the chat. Last but not least, we have a dedicated extension called profile or user profile. Actually, I think that's a typo. I think it should be user profile, which allows us to even specify usernames, because obviously the wiki needs to know to which user on a chat it needs to send a message. I mean, just because you have a certain username on the wiki doesn't mean that you have the very same username on MS Teams, on Slack, or somewhere else. So the wiki needs to know this information, and the profile extension will allow users to specify this in their preferences, and so the service can send notifications. Then I already talked about this web service chat. We will see it in the next slide, I believe. This is a service running in parallel to the wiki. It's not hosted directly in the wiki, which basically serves as a relay host or proxy to the various, or connected to the various chat services. That brings me to this slide. So this is just a schematic of how this looks. As you can see, on the left side there's MediaWiki with those three extensions that I have just mentioned. Then we have this this blue box, that's BlueSpice Chat. That's BlueSpice Chat and web service -chat. That's the very same thing. BlueSpice Chat is basically the container that we called it, that we created for it, and you can see this also then connects to the various chat servers. You could theoretically even have multiples connected at the same time, but in reality, this is probably rather rare situation. So here we've got some screenshots of how this looks in the wiki interface. So what do you see here? So if in the first picture you can see the notification subscription. Be aware this is the extension Notify Me. It's not the Echo extension. The important part here is that you see in each of those tiles, you can see the channels that you can basically register to. So the bell, that would be the web notifications on the wiki itself. Then we have a Teams and a Slack, for example, and then you can configure pretty precisely which type of notification you want to get into which of those channels. The second screen that you see, that's basically what you have when you click on that pencil icon. So you can do configuration. Here you can see the list of services. By the way, the services that are listed here, this is obviously configurable. So if you don't have Rocket Chat configured, for example, it will also not show up here in this list. On a profile page, this may look like this. Here again, we have some default profile information, some standard profile information, and then we have the very specific chat service usernames which do the connection to the chat clients or chat services. This is an example from Slack where we can see how such a notification could look like. In this case it is a notification about a mentioning. So there's another functionality where you can mention a user on a wiki page, for example, with an ad, and this will then be sent out to this particular user, and again with links and everything. Here for the edited page there's a difference link, so it gives you quick access to all the information that you need in regards to this notification. We also have this was mainly the notifications part. In addition to that, the chat connection also exposes commands. Here we see the wiki search command, basically, which is not AI. That's not a chatbot or anything, but it's really just sending some or executing some command on the wiki through the chat. And we have here three examples. This one would be Microsoft Teams. This is Slack. I think it's in every case it's the same question. And then there's also the Rocket Chat. Is it a Rocket Chat? I guess so. And what does it do in this case? It will just output a very plain list of search results directly into a chat. So if you're in a channel, if you're discussing with somebody else in the channel, you can quickly use the wiki search right in the discussion, and the bot will add the information directly into the conversation. Yeah, this was the first part. The basic chat integration for notifications and commands. But then, obviously, if we have such an integration, there stands the question what to do about chatbots. And this is also nothing really new. We have this for the last 1 or 2 years now, where customers, where users come to us with questions like these, because more and more people that are using MediaWiki in a business context, in a company, also have some kind of Copilot or otherwise LLM service available to them, many of them through Microsoft subscriptions. But yeah, so the questions were coming in, and there were very different questions. They started with, can we just integrate the contents of our wiki into our own Copilot of Microsoft? Or just more generic, can we have a chatbot in the wiki to communicate, to chat with the content of our wiki, for example? And therefore, we basically created additional components and extensions for the MediaWiki software stack. The core part is the wiki rag extension. The wiki rag extension is responsible for exporting data from the wiki to some rag system. So a rag system usually reads in whatever data you give it, be it a PDF file, be it an HTML file, be it a text file, and it will then process this information, put it into some database, and will provide it in some way to a chatbot. This is mandatory. We have 2 additional services and extensions, which is the chatbot extension. This is basically a chat client for within the wiki, but not to chat with other users on the wiki, but to chat with the chatbot. And last but not least, we have our BlueSpice AI or Web Services AI component. This again is a dedicated service, and the goal here is to provide a out-of-the-box rag system that you can use with a MediaWiki system, which is optimized for wiki content and for processing wiki content, and especially, obviously, it fits very well to the wiki rag. A quick overview over options that we have to run this. So it's more or less the same picture than before, as before. In addition, we have the chatbot, which provides another client. You can imagine this as just a window on the wiki. We have the wiki rag, which provides data to the new service here, BlueSpice AI, which will then communicate with an LLM. We have additional options here. For example, people could also use a completely custom rag, so skipping our BlueSpice AI part, and again, using the on-wiki chat or any of the other chats. By the way, this is an example of such a chat window. It's very similar to what Jaron showed earlier this day. We have some additional functionality like proposed questions, follow-up questions here. Then we have another option that would be to just export data. So if the people don't want to use the chat integration, they don't want to use our rag system, they just want to feed the data into some other system that they may use, this can also be done very nicely with the wiki rag extension. Which brings me to the current state of the rag system. So as I said, the rack system basically consists of two parts. The one is the wiki rack, which does the export, and the other one is the BlueSpace AI or web service AI component, which does the actual communication and indexing and everything. The wiki rack extension uses scheduled export, so it's not a on-the-fly updating of a rack system, but it actually just once a day or twice a day it will create data in a differential way. So not always the whole data of a wiki, not always 10,000 pages, but only those that have changed since the last export. It can provide different output formats, but I think the most important one is the optimized wiki text. Why is it optimized? Because the tools that you have in a rack system work better if you do several transformations. For example, if you convert tables or stuff like that to be better understandable by a rack indexer. It also adds structured metadata, ACL, even integrates with a glossary like Lingo to just give more information about the whole system. So that by this it basically improves the answer quality, or it allows to improve the answer quality by the system. Also, we have an integration with an approval mechanism, which is mandatory if you're in a business context. Regarding web service AI, BlueSpace AI, that is basically the receiver of the data. We're using an AO4J database for hybrid search. Basically, we're getting the data from the wiki. We are putting that into vector stores, but also into a full text search. We're doing some optimization at ingestion time. So when we are basically doing the indexing, we generate metadata. For example, we identify whether or not a page should be considered to be obsolete based on various criteria. And obviously, we do the same on the query time. The prompts, by the way, they are configurable. So if you want to have your chatbot talk like a pirate, you can configure that on the wiki itself. And yeah, last but not least, we currently support Janos AI Hub. That's probably not that known to everybody, especially from outside of Germany. That's a big German hoster that provides a very good AI service. And obviously, Microsoft Azure OpenAI, which is the most common tool that people have in the business world. And that's it.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, I think we are trying to figure out the next online. I don't know, I think this, okay, so for people in the audience, we're trying to figure out the next online connection, so we still have time for questions, if you don't have a question. And this is not on, so maybe just, I don't know.
Thanks a lot. On one slide, you show the chatbot as a kind of a middleware between the MediaWiki and the third-party application.
Yeah.
Normally, to get the connection, one will use a technical user to send the credentials. However, in Microsoft Teams, that's not work because there are a lot of things you have to...
That is why we need the username from Teams to be configured on the wiki. So basically, this part here, the BlueSpace chat, receives the username from MS Teams, but only the username. It doesn't know anything about it. It will then ask the wiki if the wiki knows that user and resolve it into a wiki username. The wiki will then return the user and its ACLs, like what can it read, which will then be passed on to the rack system, and the rack system can decide which information can this user see and so on, and return it.
Thank you. Hopefully I can remember this.
Well, luckily we have the live stream, which can be scrolled back later as well. I think we're now ready for the next online presentation.
Yeah,
so,
one final, just very quickly.
Very quickly.
With regard to the vectors in Neo4j, what is the chunking and what model
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know about the chunking.
Okay, we don't have
yeah.
time, but please repeat the question if you can.
I can repeat it. The question was about what is the size of chunking and what are the embedding models, right? Actually, I cannot answer this question very well, especially about the chunking. The embedding models, I would need to look that up. It's just a standard model, nothing special that we have chosen, I believe. I can look it up if you want.
Great, thank you so much. There's breaks and more time later, so no stress, no stress. Okay.
Thank you.